If I gave a fuck what y'all think I would be doing this? Welcome to the FMFU podcast, the podcast that's from me, for us. Vulgar but true, real and never fake. I'm your host, Reese, and I've got a lot of shit on my mind today, so let's get into it. Yo, let me tell y'all something. I've been watching this clip I saw on Instagram from an episode of Joe Budden, and I've been hollering at this shit for like 4 days straight. So in the clip, like he and Ish, they're arguing about whether when you go to the Jamaican spot, are you ordering oxtail or oxtails? Now, this is probably one of the funniest clips I've seen in a very long time because these niggas was going the fuck in. And if you ever watched or listened to that pod, you would understand how they always go at it. So it makes it even more funnier than just watching the clip by itself. But what made this clip even more relevant is what happened to me about a week ago. You know, I know life is rough, times are hard, inflation is here, and everything is just so goddamn expensive. But let me tell you what happened to me the other day that really just took me the fuck out. So I go up the street, got this Jamaican spot up the street. And I haven't had any Jamaican in a while. And honestly, I didn't even realize that this place existed. So I'm like, oh shit, let me swerve on in here. So of course, I want oxtail. That's usually my go-to. If it's not oxtail, it's brown stew chicken, maybe some jerk, or maybe then some curry. So what I decided what I was going to do is that I was going to make a decision on what I was going to order based on the prices between the oxtail and the brown stew chicken. So in front of me, there was this couple who I overheard. They ordered a small oxtail. So I'm listening, I'm like, oh, okay, I might be able to get an idea of what this is going to cost. So, I ain't up there stuttering, trying to make a decision on what I want to buy, or looking like a broke boy, right? So the worker who was standing to the side, putting up juices in the refrigerator, was like, small oxtail is $31.25. So I look at the worker, the couple in front of me, they look at the worker and they're like, oh, you talking to us? And she says, yes, just wanted to let you know. So the couple, they looking at the worker, they feeling away because they're just like, but why you telling us? Like, you think we ain't got no fucking money or something? So that's when the worker walks away and the older gentleman looks and, he turns back at me and is like we can't pay for it or something. So they mad about essentially being called broke ass niggas. I'm taken aback because I went in there wanting to act like a broke ass nigga and find out that the fucking price of $31.25 for a small oxtail, that shit instantly made me say, large brown stew chicken for $18.50, please. But I did think to myself, there probably are a lot of these like YNs that come in and be like, let me get a small oxtail. And then when it's time to pay, hear that $31.25 plus tax and be like, oh no, I'm good, which is a waste of people's fucking time. Maybe that's why she told them ahead of time, but you never know because you know how they get down in the Jamaican spot. Rude as a motherfucker. But anyways, happy Friday, people, and welcome to an all-new exciting episode of the From Me For Us podcast. I hope everybody's been doing okay out there. I hope you've been safe. These have been some trying times for everyone from a health perspective with all of the fires that are going on in South Georgia that I feel like is rising up here to Atlanta and fucking up everybody's insides because this pollen and shit is just not pollen and shit. It's something else. And even outside from health, like we just mentioned, from an economic perspective, by clearly how much it costs for a fucking small oxtail. I mean, that shit's considered a rich man's food nowadays. Like, that's the new lobster. But, for me, it's been a while. Haven't really had as much time to get on here and haven't really been, as inspired by shit I've been seeing because really I'm tired of y'all niggas. I'm not gonna lie. And honestly, full time outside of working and things like that, I've been getting my dad on as I normally do. Baseball season has picked up for my son. And I'll say this, man, the team has been on a hell of a roll. Total 180 from last year. And honestly, it's just so much fun to see the growth with these boys and what they've been able to accomplish in the short season so far. I mean, the last game, they smoked them 15-3. So it just goes to show that with a little bit of patience and a little bit of work, things will play itself out for the way it needs to play itself out. But I tell you one thing, I've come to realize over the past 2 months that coppin concert tickets is turning into some shit I would have never imagined. And all this shit started back in March.
It's the FMFU podcast, bitch.
So in the middle of March, we get the announcement that Hov is having a 2-day, now 3-day concert in New York, Yankee Stadium, to celebrate the 30-year anniversary of Reasonable Doubt and the 25-year anniversary of The Blueprint. Anyone who knows anything about me knows that Hov is my GOAT.
And one thing that I told myself was that whenever that next concert, tour, or whatever occurs, I gotta fucking be there. Like, I never seen them in concert, partly because I really wasn't a concert goer. I really just started making it like a mandatory one concert a year thing for myself a few years back. So it's one of them things where like I honestly I don't really want for much. But when I do want something, I feel like I fucking need it. And I'd be ready to jump through whatever hoops if necessary to have it or obtain it. So, of course, for me, this is some shit that needs to happen, right? So I started plotting. I'm a planner, I prep, boom, boom, boom. I'm like, okay. So when they made the announcement, I saw that they said they was doing a city car pre-sale and they're doing a general sale. But I'm like, shit, like I don't got no goddamn city car. Me and like I feel like everyone on Twitter were all saying like, who the fuck has a city card? Like, what happened to the Amex? So it's the Friday prior to the pre-sale when they're supposed to go occur on Monday. I start doing my Googles, my Chat GPT research, all this shit with really the goal of what is a city card that I could get where I would get approved immediately that would also provide me the card number right at approval. So it tells me my different options. I decide, you know what, fuck it. I'm gonna go online, I'm gonna apply for this card with the assumption that I'll get this instant approval. They'll provide, the card number for me to screenshot. Should be good to go, right? I put in this application. These motherfuckers hit me with the we need to verify more information. Typically takes 5 to 10 business days. I'm over here like, man, get the fuck out of here. Now, mind you, without telling too much of my business, and I guess it really doesn't hurt me, but like, my goddamn FICO's at like 810. So I'm thinking like, okay, I'm like the first nigga who should get like instantly approved, right? City said, nah, nigga. Like, I even called them to try to verify over the phone to like see if I could expedite the verification of this information for whatever it was, but clearly it was a fucking fail. So Monday comes, and of course my ass, like most ignorant people who don't follow the rules, jumped in the queue for the city card presale, even though I didn't have the fucking card yet. Yo, when I tell you, I walked through that queue. Like literally, when I jumped in, to get in that motherfucker, maybe 2 minutes at the most, I was in the queue before it put me to the screen that says enter your first 6 digits of your city card number so you can view the tickets and unlock the prices. Yo, I was so goddamn vexed because, at that point, I'm feeling like, man, if Citibank ain't fuck me, a nigga would have walked right in this bitch like it was a breeze, stress free, etc., etc. Now I gotta go fight with the artist pre-sale, the general sale motherfuckers, and who knows what the fuck that shit's gonna look like. Yo, when I tell you, my God, I bullshit you not. It looked crazy as a motherfucker. I was number 938,000 in the queue or something fucking crazy like that. And I just never had a goddamn chance. Like, it just wasn't going to happen. Like, they had all these other different releases and all that shit was the same. Like, it was over. So I had to bite the bullet and go ahead and go aftermarket with it. Shout out to a firm, by the way. But, it was just something that just needed to happen because I ain't gonna hold you, man. This shit had me upset for like 3 days. Man, I'm waking up in the middle of my night, in the middle of the fucking night, mad as shit, like, damn, I ain't get them tickets. And I think what made it worse is just the fact that I literally was gonna waltz my ass right in there. So it'd be one thing, it's kind of like when you lose on like a buzzer beater compared to like if you just lose by like 15, right? That buzzer beater is so much more heartbreaking than, you just never having a shot at all and it just seeming impossible. But to know you was right there and it's just like, nah, nigga, City Fake said, fuck you, nigga, you can't have it. I was pretty mad. But anyways, end of the day, I told myself, hey, gotta pay for the life experiences, right? This is something you want to do. It's a bucket list thing. I told myself, the positive is that we'll have this card. It's got good benefits. That should future proof me since clearly looking at the Live Nation app, it says the preferred card is City Card. So I know they got some type of deal or something because you know how that goes, right? But it's like, you know what? I'll have it put in the tuck, did what I need to do for this one. At least I don't got to worry about this concert shit for a while, right? Right? Clearly I was fucking wrong. So 2 fucking weeks later, Usher and Chris Brown asked when I announced the goddamn R&B tour. So I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I just fucking got Hove tickets. Now the Prince and MJ of our time want to go on a fucking collab joint tour. Of course I gotta go to this shit. So, like, first I'm just like, goddamn, more money. Like, what the fuck? But again, life experiences, right? And I told myself, you know what? This is why, we stay our asses in the house and not go out every week and spend it, money on bullshit. This is why we do Club Crib and have our own hookah and our own drinks and put the music on the TV and not eat Magic City Lou Will lemon pepper wings every weekend, right? This is why we stay in the house and do that to save that money. So fuck it. We going, fuck it. So now I'm like, oh, okay, let's see what it's looking like for the pre-sale because, City card came in. I ain't gonna lie, like a nigga was feeling like he had the goddamn golden ticket. Like you can call me Charlie in the chocolate factory, this motherfucker, right? But it made me feel like, okay, this probably should be a breeze because it's an actual tour to multiple cities, not just one city for 2 or 3 nights. So I'm like, that whole shit was gonna be crazy, but like essentially this should be a breeze, especially when the promotion for people to sign up was for the artist pre-sale. And also thinking about, again, this was just a couple weeks ago where people were in the comments talking about who the fuck has a city card. So I'm like, all right, this should be cool. So I'm at the crib, just so happened to, have it lined up. I didn't have any meetings or nothing at the time. So I'm like, all right, bet I'm gonna jump in this queue. I'm gonna be ready. I jump in this queue. Why the fuck my number in the queue for Atlanta for the Saturday date is 380 fucking thousand? I'm scratching my head like, man, hold up now. I know damn well this many people not trying to go to the Atlanta show or this one fucking night. I also was thinking, I know damn well 380,000 motherfuckers ain't got no goddamn city card when everybody on Twitter, Instagram, wherever else was asking last time for Hove concert, who has the city card? So on the strength of looking out and also trying to give myself more opportunities, my dog had hit me up telling me before he was looking to use someone's card. Actually, like I worked out was he was fucking 100-something thousand in the queue. So he was like, man, just send me the card info. So I sent it to him. He got through. We ended up making it happen to get the amount of tickets we needed. Niggas will be in there to see the show. I'm sure it's gonna be fire. I honestly think that R&B concerts, no pun intended, probably are more entertaining than rap concerts anyways, because realistically you're gonna get not just the singing and the songs you like, but you usually get like performances, choreography, that type of shit. Like not just a rap nigga running around screaming over some background vocals like it's karaoke night. Now we know Hove don't do that, but you get my point. But man, on that, on another note, talking about concerts, Ticketmaster, all this other shit, Ticketmaster getting out of hand. And shout out for them judges or whoever in the court that found that they was running some monopoly type shit. And I hope they're able to kick niggas back some type of paper. It's probably only gonna be like, $10 or some shit. You know how when you got them class action lawsuits, sign up for them shits when you get them though, man. I done got a couple $50, $100 checks here and there, but shout out to them for hitting them over the head for whatever they're able to, because listen, like I said, I wasn't a concert goer before, but just based on conversations, like I've been told that like this shit was never like this. Like this shit to me feels like back in like the pre Nike sneakers app era, when like you used to have to get in like a virtual line for like Air Jordan releases, and you have to like log into your account and have your iPad, your laptop, your iPhone, all them bitches loaded on NikeStore.com, and you literally got to sit there and just keep refreshing and hoping and waiting. Like this shit is getting out of control. Like they got to do something to figure that out. I think what they need to do, at least on the city card days, I'm probably sounding biased now, right? Like you shouldn't even be allowed to get in the queue until you enter the first 6 digits of your card number. It should be enter your card number, then you join the queue. Then once you get in to buy a ticket, the card number again. That way you would block the queue from people who don't have true access, but was just trying to be nosy to see prices, because you can't see the fucking prices anyway. And I know people was doing this shit. Shit is crazy. Also, I learned a little bit about the resale game with this experience as well. So the third-party website, SeatGeek, for example, right? This website is specifically for people not like me or us who are trying to resell tickets. Like, I had 2 additional tickets to sell. I couldn't list those tickets on there because SeatGeek works with professional sellers to sell tickets on that platform. And this being the case, this lets me know that these motherfuckers keep a certain amount of seats on reserve to drive the prices up. But the other thing I noticed is that if you were to buy tickets on face value and resell them on Ticketmaster or StubHub, which is allowed, these motherfuckers don't pay you the money until 5 to 8 days after the event. Even if it's for the same price you paid, you're not going to technically get that money until after the event, according to their terms and conditions. So lesson learned by me, because I definitely got a little quick flip on StubHub and ain't even going to get my goddamn money. So lesson learned and heads up for y'all. If you're ever trying to sell through these platforms, make sure you got the funds around where you can cover that expense, knowing you'll get your profit down the line, which for me, unfortunately, isn't going to be until about 6 months later in November. But go figure. So, of course, the latest topic in nigga news is the topic of Klay Thompson and Megan Thee Stallion and a breakup. If you don't know, which I'm sure you do know by now, essentially she made a post online saying how they broke up because he cheated on her. This post got the internet in a frenzy. Everybody and their mama's got a fucking opinion. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But every time something like this happens, I find it not hilarious to the person that it's happening to, but hilarious to the people that are viewing and commenting on it. Y'all hoes be way too pressed over celebrity relationships, and I don't understand why. Like, there's nothing wrong with having your favorite celebrity couple and rooting for celebrity black love and all the above. But y'all hoes be so vested. Y'all be acting like it's ruining your life. And because you're so vested, it's so easy for niggas like me to repost the troll post and shit and post the shit talking about city boys with it and shit. And any troll post I repost isn't something I'm posting to farm engagement or seek attention, but I'm sure that stuff triggers some of y'all super involved celebrity ass relationship bitches. The biggest problem is that y'all start to say shit that just makes zero sense. I've seen like 100 posts from hoes that said nobody knew who Klay Thompson was until he started fucking with Megan Thee Stallion. Nigga, y'all shade room, baller alert, gossip only getting your information ass bitches gonna sit here and act like this nigga was a nobody? Like, he wasn't a nigga who happened to score 60 points in the quarter off of like 0 dribbles? Like, he wasn't the reason Golden State's season was saved in the playoffs twice? Like, this nigga really isn't a 4-time champion with Golden State, dubbed by most people in the world as the second greatest shooter of all time behind his other splash brother, no pun intended, Steph Curry? A future Hall of Famer? A top 75 player? We really about to sit here and say nobody knew who he was before he started dating Megan? Man, if y'all airheaded ass bitches don't get the fuck out of here. Like, this is the type of dumbass world revolves around women and their whole tendencies type shit that causes us to be clowning y'all. And one thing I always say, and this is something that not only, applies to women, but to men as well. When it comes to people and whoever they decide to involve themselves with, we really got to look at the patterns of the people that they're choosing. I put it in perspective of a dude. If a dude that you know is out here continuously chooses to date scandalous, not up to par, rat, ain't shit type bitches, and he's always done this, then the type of chick that he's probably going to always deal with is the scandalous, not up to par, rat, ain't shit type bitches. When a woman continues to be connected to so many different niggas, and none of these niggas want to take her serious, including the latest one who, in her own words, is unlike any of the others I've dealt with in the past, then we have to think about what's the pattern here and who was the common fucking denominator for the issues. One thing I'm always say, especially when it comes to women who are very attractive, seem to have their shit together. Outside folks, probably scratch their head a lot like, damn, how come they can't get a man? Where, to be fair, there's some work to be done as black men as a collective. I'm not going to put it all on women. It's not all the women's fault. But there are certain ones that we can look at where, yeah, they can always get a nigga, but can't seem to keep a nigga. And when this happens, especially if they like gorgeous, I always say it's because of something we can't see. That what we can't see could be a numerous amount of things, whether it's how conversations are in private, Maybe you talk too much, or maybe you just disrespectful. Maybe you don't know how to fuck right, or the pussy in head is mid, even if you know how to twerk that ass for socials. Can you do it like that with a dick in her? Maybe the problem is actually that you twerking your ass for social media when you got a nigga at home. Who you want that attention from? Aisha Curry? Like, who fucking knows? But the point of the matter is once things start to get shared publicly, it's easier for people to judge with this public consumption of the situation, especially when almost every situation has been messy and they're easily going to be able to give their public opinions. Like, it's one thing if you have one situation and it's been messy and everything else has been, pretty private. But every situation is seen to have been messy, and we can't blame every nigga for this shit. Who is the common denominator here? There's only one person, especially when you're dealing with a bunch of different dudes in a bunch of different areas. I think my bottom line with this whole thing is that, we should always give ourselves a certain level of privacy in a relationship, even if you're a celebrity. Maybe don't post as much. Maybe don't share everything. Maybe just keep it a little bit tucked, because if shit goes bad, the internet don't forget, especially when you're a big star. Because, at the end of the day, the shit's just always going to be magnified like a motherfucker. And it's hard to forget when you was with Moneybagg Yo, Party Fontaine, G-Eazy, Meek Mill, Burna Boy, DaBaby, Tory Craig, Tory Lanez, and then Klay Thompson. You be the judge. But that's all I really got to say about it. Thoughts and prayers. At the end of the day, though, some of y'all really need to shut the fuck up with your opinions, even if you are entitled to them, because even being entitled to your opinion, in the words of Sam Jackson in the Avengers, doesn't mean it's a stupid ass opinion. Plus, at this point, why do I want to hear an opinion from the masses of people online who believe that Stephon Diggs was an upgrade from Offset, knowing the Diggs nickname might as well be 1,000 bitches? Stop being so invested about celebrity relationships on Shade Room and go read a self-help book or go run some laps and exercise, nigga. So I was reading this article that popped up on my Twitter feed, and it was about 23 questions by Dave McMenamin that he was asking LeBron James throughout the season. And I thought it was pretty interesting. Some of the questions that were asked, a lot of it were things that probably haven't been asked before. And I think there was a lot of alignment in ways that I've looked at things when it comes to his career. And it's interesting to see how he looks at it from his own POV. So I have a couple of these questions pulled up here. And the one thing that he had said was like, that was asked was in retrospect, like, had there been, an early exit in one of those years because of the consecutive, finals trips, would it have been like helped him in terms of having more left in the tank for the finals? But one thing that Bron had answered and said, like, people were getting on him for losing in the finals. And when he was younger, he used to listen to it. And it seemed like people would, and I'm paraphrasing all of this, would basically like give this opinion out like they'd rather you not make the playoffs or lose earlier than to lose in the finals, which in his words, he said is crazy to me, which I agree. And he also said, he feel like, a lot of that was because it was him. Everybody always got something about his career, whether he's the leading scorer, but it took him 23 years or whatever the case is. But I like the rebuttal that he said was like, outside of saying it took me this long to break Kareem's record, every 1,000 pace point target, he's like the fastest to. So the fastest to 1,000, the fastest to 2,000, the fastest to 5,000, fastest to 10,000. And it's kind of crazy. But he did express he was pissed off that the winning percentage individually in the finals wasn't better. But he said to turn it into a negative, it don't bother him as much. And it got into another like MJ conversation as far as like, aspects of the game. The question was like, not asking who's greater, but like just aspects of your game. How do you look at it? And he was just like, listen, we both incredible players. I've always been like a point forward type player and look to pass. MJ look to shoot. And he said it's different. It's like, it's shit he do better, shit I do better, but we both great. And I like that comment too, because it kind of goes to what the late great Kobe has said when Bron passed him up. And people thought it might have been slight, but he said it. I think even MJ said it. He was like, let people who's coming up elevate the game and move it forward. All the compare and contrasting, we start to miss out on the greatness of things that we see. It's, it's kind of crazy. Also, they talked about it more being just, barbershop talk and things like that. And where did you get the name LeBron from? His grandfather's best friend's name. I never knew that. And just really asking, did he like his name and stuff? So the article, hey man, listen, I talked about Hov being my rap GOAT. There's two people that A.O. Reese don't play about is Hov and LeBron. So anytime them niggas speak or got something to talk about, I'm tuned in instantly because, you got two geniuses in what they do, right? But it was a conversation I was having with some other dads at the baseball game. One, he's from Chicago, and he's like, oh, yeah, what you think about, he brought that up. And he's asking me about, the whole GOAT combo. And I was like, listen, everybody, you on whatever side you on. I'm like, I say 1A, 1B. I think that, with Jordan, you're going to always argue, let's call it 6-6-5, right? 6 finals MVPs, 5 regular MVPs, right? And then for Brian, you could say 4-4-4, you know what I mean? But what about the other years? You could say, well, if you look at conference championships, he got 10, Jordan only got 6. It's so much you can argue and nitpick at. At the end of the day, I think also with MJ as well, the aesthetics of the 90s, which is the greatest era ever, the black and red, which is my favorite 2 colors, the fucking sneakers, which there's never been basketball sneakers that have turned into fashion trends as well. So I think when you just compile all of it, nothing compares to the old school. It's just like using an analogy for when they come out with new versions of, this is going to really sound, the Powerpuff Girls. They had a newer version, but we grew up on the older version. We're going to say the older version is better. That newer version could be way better with better graphics and whatever, but we just love the older version. Anything, Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin is the best. Turbo and all that shit after was just not as good because it wasn't the original. So when you got these super perennial athletes, and especially when it turns into the modern era, it's always the default to go with the original. As maybe for some young kids growing up, they might think their original being Bron, so that's why they're saying what they're saying. So I thought it was interesting. I definitely check it out. Again, it was a Dave McMenamin article. It's on ESPN. I thought it was really cool. But yeah, ultimately, man, for me, I'm not doing the arguments no more. I'm done. At this point, everything with Bron at being fucking 41 is extra credit. It just doesn't it just doesn't matter at this point. You're gonna be on whatever side you on. I like the Rich Paul analysis where, one antlers may be gold, the other ones may be platinum. I think that analogy's fire, in my opinion. But ultimately, it 1A, 1B, 1 and 2, whoever you want to call it, nobody else is in that conversation. And we're not going to argue this no more for a multitude of reasons. So check out the article. Maybe it'll be something that you can read to get enlightened because, you don't know about your athletes and not understanding that they, are more than just being able to fuck on, rapper girl superstar. So check it out.
Thanks for listening to the FMFU podcast. Follow me on Facebook at FMFU Experience. I'm also on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at FMFU_experience. Also check me out on Twitch for some Warzone action at ReesePup007. Remember people, life is a series of choices. Just make sure you make the right one. Peace.